Sex is a wonderful thing. I think we can all agree on that. Sex is important. One of my theories is that all human endeavour, writing novels, composing symphonies, scientific research, all of it, it's all driven by the conscious or unconscious urge to get more offers of sex. And this makes evolutionary sense. Bird species develop brilliant plumage in order to attract mates and so have more chance of passing on their genes. And so it is with humans. We strut about and shimmy our beautiful plumage in the hope it will bring us more sexual offers. From an early age, I feared that attracting sexual offers was going to be a special challenge for me because I regarded myself as a dumpy grey bird. Picture me at 15, wearing a powder blue terry-toweling tracksuit, which was possibly doing me no favours. "Oh, Mum, I'm so fat and ugly. What am I going to do?" "Well," replied my mother, "you'll just have to develop a nice personality, won't you?" I'll take your pity. At 15, I was desperate to be a writer, and I accepted that there would sometimes be the need to include sex scenes in things I wrote. In my teens, I diligently studied Clio magazine, so I was well up on theory, techniques and positions. I eventually convinced a few individuals of the male persuasion to help me further my research in a practical field study. But this was still a small sample of sexual activity. When I was a student, I worked at an RSL club pouring beers. One shift I worked was the porn and prawn morning. 9 a.m. on a Sunday in the windowless upstairs auditorium. Patrons paid a flat fee to scoff prawns served in the white paper parcels straight from the fish market, while they watched porn movies projected onto a small screen on a metal stand. Schooners, prawns and pornography in a drafty club auditorium at 9 a.m. I mean, each to their own. But anyway, I figured this could be my chance to get more tips on how people do it from the porn. And that could inform my writing. But it turned out the picture quality was subpar. And with all the slurping of beer and the crunching of prawn heads by 24 elderly gents, it was hard to hear the dialogue. Love scenes in movies were not a reliable source of intel to help me write authentic sex scenes. I mean, all that slamming each other against walls. Is that what people regularly do in real life? They must end up so bruised. And lovers on screen, they were always sort of scowling as if they were in pain. I guess from the bruising. As for my own real life research, I've been shacked up with the same man, Richard, for almost 45 years, since I was 20. What do I know about what other people are up to? I'm usually bold about asking questions for stuff I'm writing, but it's tricky to ask your friends, where do you put your hands? How many thrusts? Can you please demonstrate your sex noises to help me with a scene I'm writing? And then whenever I did have a go at a sex scene in a script or a novel, I always worried, will my friends think, oh, that must be how Deborah does it? Oh dear. So, I decided that writing sex scenes was just too exposing, too embarrassing. Better not to try. I decided to focus on books and stage plays for children. No sex scenes required. In fact, sex scenes are actively frowned upon. But then, out of the blue, an old project of mine that had gone flaccid, Offspring, well, it suddenly sprang back to a full erection and penetrated my life. A TV show like Offspring needed quite a lot of saucy shenanigans. Often the sexual encounters were comic or sort of meant to be bad, and those were easier for me to write. But sometimes there would be an important non-comic sex scene And I would want the script to convey to the cast and the crew what the atmosphere should be and what the scene needed to be in terms of the previous story. So I might have a go at putting a paragraph of explanation in the big print. Didn't want to be too prescriptive. No need for me to spell out the choreography. That's a big advantage of writing sex scenes in TV. Writers get off lightly. I could leave it up to the actors and the directors to make hand placement choices, improvise character-appropriate noises, and we could even decide, the editor could decide later, once we had a music track, what the rate of thrusting should be. On a TV series, there's a process called the table read, when the whole cast gathers around a huge table to read the next episode out loud. It's a chance for everyone to hear how it sounds and consider rewrites. So for one particular Offspring episode, I'd written the script for episode 7 of series 2. And my writing colleague Michael, as was customary, was reading out just a few of the stage directions to set each scene. We got up to a key romantic moment for main characters Nina and Patrick. Usually Michael would just do a brief summary. Interior, Patrick's apartment. Night, Nina and Patrick have sex. And then the table read would move on to the next dialogue scene. But instead of rapidly moving on, Michael, well, in order to torture me, Michael started reading aloud every word of stage direction I had written. There's some more kissing, some unbuttoning and removal of clothing. Oh, it's losing its erection. It's not flirty or awkward. They are surprisingly assured with each other. The need is great, leaving no room for doubt or analysis or game playing. Please remember, there were about 25 people gathered round the table, most of them absurdly attractive. I mean, movie star gorgeous. Suddenly, I was sitting there feeling like that dumpy 15-year-old in a powder blue terry-toweling tracksuit who was still working on her personality to make up for lack of attractiveness. But now, all those 24 drop-dead gorgeous people were staring at me, a 52-year-old dumpy lady who had, in the privacy of her home office, spent hours imagining Asha Keddy and Matt Levez doing it. My face burning with mortification, I punched Michael on the arm really hard to make him stop reading. But no matter how violently I assaulted him, he kept reading those stage directions aloud. Nina and Patrick have sex. It's not romantic sex. It's hungry, fervent sex between grown-ups. It's not the enthusiastic Labrador sex Nina had with Fraser. It's not the flirty, soft focus style of her almost sex with Chris. It should feel instinctive, passionate, utterly mutual, with no hesitation or need for discussion. And it should be very, very good. Okay? Ha. I actually wrote okay, ha in the script. The humiliation of Deborah went on to become a beloved tradition. At book launches for my novels, Michael has kindly flown up from Melbourne to read one of the sex scenes in the book aloud to embarrass me as a public ritual. And I reckon that this ritual has been a sort of desensitisation therapy. Yes, writing sex scenes is difficult and exposing, but that's got to be better than conjuring up a kind of weird, sad story world where no one's getting any. Sex is important. Having an uncomfortable go at writing about it is better than not trying at all. That has to be the lesser of two evils. With my latest novel, as I was drafting the sex scenes, I found myself imagining Michael reading them aloud in a room full of my friends and family. And imagining that moment would make me laugh, make me get out of my own way, and I'd thrust on with the job. In my new book, one of the main suspense storylines is when and how the main character, Betty, will experience her first orgasm. And when she does, it's a major plot point, as it should be. After that climactic moment, Betty goes on to experience some bad sex, which she describes. Sometimes after a few dates, things would progress as far as sex. I did have some fun, it must be said, but on most occasions I was treated to a whole new world of awkwardness and disappointment. Let's just say my breasts endured a lot of clumsy handling, and my nether regions were pounded with limited finesse. One of my sexual partners avoided eye contact and was utterly silent during the act, emitting no sound, even breathing inaudibly, until he finally said in a flat, mechanical voice, "I'm sticking it in you now." Another bloke was much more loquacious during our sexual encounter, barracking like a football coach, urging himself on as he thrust away. "Go, Derek. Come on, mate. You can do this, Derek." I did not sign up for a rematch with Derek. Oh, I should point out, that's all based on stories I've heard. That's not how Richard and I do it. I also bravely had a go at giving my character what I hope comes across as enjoyable sex. I won't read those scenes to you now because I'd be too embarrassed. But if you do happen to read the book, please be kind about the writing of sex. Much of it is based on research from 1970s issues of Cleo or pink bits I happened to see at the Porn and Prawn morning. Or it's the product of pure imagination. But the best bits, well, the best bits are how Richard and I do it. And look, let me just say that oh dear. The Nina Patrick sex scene from Offspring that I talked about earlier, it turned out pretty steamy on screen. I think a lot of people got lucky on that Wednesday night after they watched it. Watch for yourself. Out of here and into your fantasies. You're welcome.